got it on record.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, Mandy.
Hello, Rowland.
How you doing? You alright?
Sorry, frog in my throat. Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
Good.
I'm fine. Yeah.
This is very strange. I kind of like multiple echoes.
Yeah.
Have you got that as well?
No.
Oh,
It's kind of all right.
maybe just too much acid in the 90s. Where am I? No, that's not it. Oh, no, everything's done. Anyway, so,
Yeah.
how's it going? Lovely hot day.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful day. I've been over in Eastbourne at my sister's, sweating profusely on the beach, feeling really tiny, looking into a massive ocean. So that's been really good. So
Sounds great.
Yeah, I rushed back last night to make sure that I was here today, and drove down this morning with my windows open in my van doing 90 miles an hour.
It does 90 miles an hour?
My van does do 90 miles an hour, yeah.
Is that redlining it or?
No, it's got more.
Really?
It's a 2.4 TDI, so it's.
Are you sure it's a T4?
It's a T4, yeah.
It looked like a T5.
No, it's
and it's a TDI engine.
Yeah, it's 100% a T4. It's 2002, 2.5 TDI. Yeah,
right, okay.
That is what it is.
Is it a camper? You got a bed in the back and that?
It actually has some fold down seats that are actually for sale if anyone wants to buy them.
Right. How much are they?
I don't know. They're apparently worth quite a lot, but they're from a T6, I think. But
right.
I want to just make a bed in the back and
right.
stuff like that. I don't want to have all these weird chairs.
You don't want the rock and roll bed, basically.
No, it doesn't really do it for me. So.
Do you know some of them get for like $3,500 new?
Yeah, this is it, and I think mine is actually worth quite a bit. So I need to actually get it out and sell it and put the money back into the van. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool van. You know me, I love vans. I've had a nightmare. I've only had my license 2.5 years, and this is my 5th vehicle. So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I brought my first van, and it was actually great. And then I had eyes for another van, and so I sold.
That's the green one you had the eyes for, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I sold my good van to get this green one that I got mugs off on, and it looked cool as fuck. It was like my dream van, but it was fucked. It was just completely.
I remember you coming down with it.
Yeah,
having that conversation. It was just trashed.
The whole chassis was rotten, and yeah, it was just a nightmare. And I spent just as much as I paid for it trying to fix it, and then it kind of just whatever. And then I got myself another little runaround that was shit, and then I got another runaround, like a little Seat Leon, and that was wicked. It was like a sport, and it had an turbo on it, and it was.
See, it's a good motors. I mean, they're basically Porsches.
Yeah, it drove amazing. It was 2007. It had an aftermarket turbo on it, so it was super juicy, and it used to go like the clappers, and it was really cheap. And then I saved up some money, and I really wanted to get a van. And my mechanic used to work for VW. And he said, hands down, best van you can buy is a T4. It'll go for forever. The engines are bulletproof, and just get one of those. So I went on the hunt, and I spent $4,000 getting that one.
Nice.
And
that's cheap.
Yeah, and they hold their value. They're kind of classed as a classic now. So I'm actually just gonna keep it and work on it. I've got super into mechanics.
Wicked.
I subscribe to Motor Trend TV, and all I watch every single night is Wheeler Dealers with Ed, the mechanic Ed, Ed China. And I learned so much from him. And
wicked.
When I get stuff done to my van, like I'm trying to turn it into a swamper.
Yeah.
So getting it on a lift kit, getting big off-road tyres.
Oh, right. Wicked.
Yeah.
I go full four-wheel drive in that.
Yeah, well, it's not a synchro. It's not a four-wheel drive synchro, but I want to go for that look.
Yeah.
So I'm currently basically spending all of my money that I don't have on my van. It's the only thing that makes me feel good at the moment.
That's great.
So, yeah.
I mean, vans are cool. Mine's 2017. I bought it new.
Yeah.
So it went for its first MOT last month. Well, it should have been April, but I managed to get away with it until last month.
Okay.
Because of COVID and everything. And it cost me about £500 to get it for its first MOT. And I was fucking gutted. I was pissed right off, right? And I was saying to the mechanic, I said, well, £500 to put it for this first MOT. And he's like, well, don't look at me, mate. I'm just fixing it. And I go, well, that's fair enough. And I spoke to him, and he's like, don't ever buy a brand new Ford, mate. I'm like, what? I thought they were
Really?
great and all this. And he was like, no, they suck. And especially the electrics.
Right.
You're better off buying a VW. And I was like, well, yeah, but like for the same spec, I think mine cost 21 grand. And it's like got heated seats, air conditioning, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I think the same spec for a VW was like 36.
Yeah.
So there's no brainer by the Transit. I mean, they're good looking vehicles as well.
Yeah.
And that, but like, apparently not. Apparently, I should have spent 21 grand on a second-hand Transit because, like, after 250,000 miles, you might get a ball joint that's gone.
Yeah.
Nissan or Honda or something make the engines now, so they're a lot more reliable because they used to be really unreliable, blow up after 15,000 miles or something stupid like that. But yeah, that's the advice I got. So yeah, I've been looking at them, so I wouldn't mind.
The like I think they're on T6 now. It's the new V Dubs. But I mean, my mechanic Ben said when it comes to vans with VW, buy like a Crafter or an LT or a T4. He said the T5s and the T6s were the nightmare vans. He said when he worked because he was like head mechanic at whatever branch he was working at.
Right, okay.
And he was like, every single van that came through those doors was either a T5 or actually he doesn't know about it because T6s have come out recently.
Yeah,
so
I think the last couple of years.
T5s, and he was like, just don't get a T5, just don't get the T5.1 or the T5, just go for a T4 because they're bulletproof. And then other than that, he was like, if you want to buy older, get the T25s or something.
Is it the T25s, the mystery wagon, the Scooby-Doo one?
Yeah. Apparently they're really good as well. And yeah, so I don't know. I've got more as I've passed my driving test and got really into driving. I love driving, and I've just got really into mechanics as well.
That's fair enough. I mean, it saved you a shit ton of money.
Yeah, well, I can't do any of it. I just get like blown away by it. It's like this thing that I want to know about, and if I had the money, I'd probably try and buy tools and get into it.
Right,
but, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. But I have a great mechanic who I go and see, and he's always up for helping. So it kind of is cool. And I learn off him. We just spent like a whole weekend the other weekend putting bull bars on the front of my van.
Really?
Which are actually illegal.
Are they?
But any vehicle past 2007, it's illegal to have bull bars on.
Right.
So older vehicles, you can get away with it. But it would really invalid my insurance because if you have to tell them that it's got bull bars on, and when I bought it, if I'd have, when I got my insurance, I should have said it's got bull bars on, but I didn't. So
I did that on my insurance this year. I told them that I had aftermarket windows put in the back, and it put about 150 quid on my insurance for no reason at all, apart from like it's something that's aftermarket. Therefore, I must be a boy racer and race my van 150 miles an hour around the place. Which is a note, like I don't.
Well, at least your van can do 150. Mine will do 90 well or 100, but not 100.
It wouldn't do 150. No. That's a slight exaggeration there. Like. The last time I did mechanics was my BMW about 10 years ago.
Right.
And I had to fit a mass airflow meter. It's just like this little plastic cap with a little bit of wire on it, a sensor. And it monitors how much air goes into the carb, right? And I can't remember how much it were, but it arrived in the post, and I managed to put a screwdriver straight through it. Bearing in mind, you don't need a screwdriver to put it on. So that's the last time I tried mechanics, basically. I thought, nah, it's not for me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not for all people, is it?
No, not at all.
I just find it fascinating, that's all, but I don't think I'll ever get into it. But yeah, other than that, I mean, other than that, I've been okay. This COVID-19 thing has sucked. And as I was saying earlier, I kind of feel a bit lost right now. So kind of on the verge of taking a bit of a hiatus from music and kind of my life really a bit. And just taking a step back and trying to gain some perspective and figure out what I want to do, because it's hard to know, I guess. But
yeah, of course.
I think for some people in the music industry and stuff like that, COVID has actually helped in a way. It's like for some people they've excelled, had an opportunity to take some time out and get some perspective as well. And then other people have like really struggled and really suffered, and there might not be something for those people to return to, or right now it might just be a kind of big pit of despair, not knowing what's going to happen.
Do you know what I've forgotten to do? Press record on Logic.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? Well, we've got record on OBS, right?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have a look.
Yeah.
I bet I got my password wrong then. Yep. Maybe I shouldn't be doing my password on here.
It's all right. No one can see.
So we are recording on there. Let me just let me just bang that on as well.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh no! Now I've got to.
You got on the tracks.
Yeah, which one is it? That one. That's it. No.
No.
Oh my God. Well, this is amateur hour, isn't it? Obviously.
It's all right.
First time.
It's all a learning curve, isn't it? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mandy. I feel a lot better. Right. So we're recording.
Yeah.
Right, that's all good.
There you
then.
go. That's
so where were we?
We were. Do you want to get rid of that?
It'll
screen?
come up in a minute.
All right, okay.
The marvels of technology and all that.
So yeah, I was just saying about the COVID-19 thing and how it's kind of been really. It's had quite a big effect on a lot of people, a lot of artists, and it's kind of annoying as well because like my mum's got a normal full-time job. She works at Tesco. She has done 27 years or something. I hate you, Tesco's. You suck. Start paying my mum some decent money. And yeah, she doesn't really understand what I do. She doesn't really even. She calls me an alien, so
right.
She doesn't get me at all. But she didn't really understand how this was going to affect me, you know what I mean? Because she was like, oh, I'm okay, I'm kind of furloughed or whatever, I get my usual pay. It's just like a big holiday. And at the start of all of it, I kind of said to her that I think I'll be all right. I'm not too sure what's going to happen, but there might be some live streaming I can do and bits and bobs like that. But in hindsight, you don't get paid for any of this stuff.
No. So, that's the problem, isn't it? And we can do all this stuff, and you don't get we don't get, as artists myself, we don't get paid for it. I mean, even on the railways, I'm not getting paid.
Right.
I got my own business, got a limited company, but company directors have fallen through the net a little bit as well.
Right. Okay.
I mean, admittedly, admittedly, it's my own fault, I guess. As a company director, I get paid dividends. That's my main source of income.
Right.
And the tax efficient way is to pay yourself minimum wage.
Okay.
Right. So basically, I'm screwing the government, but I'm not, because it's all legal. But I'm paying as little tax as I possibly can.
Right.
But then this situation, you get 80% of your wages.
Yes.
Well, I get 80% of next to fuck all because I'm already screwing the system by doing the most tax efficient way of earning anyway.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I've fallen for the net a little bit, but it is what it is.
Right. Yeah, because I got I think in March or something you could apply to get 80% of what you would earn in a month.
Yeah, you can do that
3 months.
You can do it every year. I mean, every month. Sorry, you can apply every month.
Okay.
For the previous month.
Right.
But you need to be showing. Have records of how much you earned last year.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay.
So if you earned 100 grand last year.
Yeah.
Right. Then they'd pay you 80 grand divided by 12, I guess.
Right. Okay.
Something like that, or was it up to 50,000 or something? Isn't it?
I think it's capped.
But,
I think it is capped.
But as long as I mean, I know a lot of artists. It's a cash industry basically.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Whether you claim your taxes or claim your earnings or not is a completely different matter. Do you know what I mean? But if you do, then you're all right. But if you don't, then you tend to be a bit fucked because if you can't prove all your earnings from last year, they can't can't pay you this year basically or in this. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, I'm self-employed, but even with my gigs, I put that through, because even though a lot of time it is paid cash, I often put it in my bank because I'm useless with cash. If I got cash, I spend it. I spend it all anyway. I should probably just not do this. But yeah, I just put it in my bank, and then obviously I have to legitimize that as well. So,
as long as you're legitimizing it, though, then you've got records. I mean, do you have an accountant?
I do pay an accountant once a year to do my books.
So you've got books, so then you can claim.
Yeah, I mean, because what I claimed for was the unemployment income support scheme that they put up, and I got because I'd had books for the last 3 years. They could estimate how much I would earn on a monthly, and they paid me 80% of that for the previous 3 months. So in March or June, I got like just over $1,000,
right?
And I just basically invested that into hoodies, and because I know I can double my money on my merch.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did that, and then that's kind of unrolling that over. But they're just actually about to release a new one in August. So that will be the second wave of the self-employment income support scheme for the COVID-19, of which I will get 70% of the loss of what I'd earned in 3 months, so I can reinvest that as well. But it kind of just sucks that I didn't realize how much I rely on the gigs, and
right.
Because the money that I earn from the merch and the website, it's all good, but it kind of just pays for itself and it ticks itself over. But it does give me a little bit of money to dip into. And as I said, at the moment, I'm just being an idiot and just spending it all on stuff I shouldn't do, because trying to make myself feel better at the moment. So, and that seems to be one of the only things, which is why I need to kind of take some time out and focus on myself a bit. And I think that's happening to a lot of people at the moment.
Yeah.
This year's been so crazy for so many people, not just in my world or the bubble around me or my friends, but also so many different industries as well. But actually, quite a lot of them are starting to return. It's like the government injecting 2.5 billion into the creative arts industry or whatever. That doesn't apply to clubs, nightclubs, DJs.
Doesn't it?
No.
I was thinking, it's more theatre and opera and basically the stuff that Tories like, or like the upper echelon.
Exactly.
We'll put 2.5 million in because we want to get Pavarotti in and have a good go on him.
It's exactly that. It is exactly that. So all of the clubs that are suffering right now and stuff like that. That help isn't there for him still.
Do you think this could be the death of rave culture in the clubs? I mean, like these small clubs, I mean, maybe not even rave culture, but like band culture and anything really, because like they got the Cavern in Exeter, which is quite close to my heart because I know the guys that own it and I've played there, I've done nights there. And it's a small venue. It's like, I don't know how big it is compared to any other venues in Exeter, considering Exeter is very limited for venues. But it's the small venues. But like they still have international bands go over there, and like I guess like there's one band before I moved to Canada, like about 3 days before I moved to Canada, a Canadian band played in the Cavern called Chicks Dig It.
Right.
And I'd never heard of them before, and I'm guessing they've got a UK or European tour, and they've come to the Cavern. Well, the Cavern holds about 250, 300 people at the max.
Right.
So I'm guessing their tour wasn't that big. So it's a European break tour or Breaking Europe tour or something like that, I'm guessing.
Right.
But these venues are so important for music and culture, because if you didn't have these little venues, they'd never fill you'd never build bands to fill Wembley.
No, that is really a prominent thing in the entire industry, is these smaller venues and the underground clubs, and even the underground in itself, you know what I mean, breeds famous bands, famous artists,
exactly.
Genres that blow up and stuff like that. I mean, look at drum and bass and jungle. We started that in the UK in the raves, in the underground clubs, and now it's worldwide. And
commercial.
It's commercial, almost commercial now.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much commercial now. You know, you got people like Shy FX, who were the originators of jungle drum and bass, and now they're Radio 1 superstars and stuff like that. You know, DJ Fresh from Bad Company and everything. So, you know, it's like the backbone is the backbone, and it needs to stay supported. And actually, what is really, really big in the press right now and everything is the resurgence of the rave culture, right?
Yeah.
So basically, all of these big newspapers, big news firms are trying to document the fact that COVID-19 and the austerity that has been put on us by the government is basically about to inspire a new summer of love.
It's the perfect storm.
It is the perfect storm.
We see it what, every 15, 20 years, something like that. Something happens in politics and economics.
Yeah.
And a youth culture explodes.
Yeah, I mean,
like dance music is the only youth culture that's managed to stay on for 25, 27 years now?
Yeah.
And become mainstream.
Yeah.
Like most things like punk or ska.
Yeah.
And these are just ones that I know from my era, so I'm just naming them. But I don't know, rockabilly, whatever. They're generally around for 3-4 metal, generally around for 3-4 years, and they die and something else comes in. But dance music's been solid for 27 years, certainly 25 years.
Yeah,
and there's no. It's redefined music.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. I think so. You know, I mean, look at the amount of dance music out there and so many different genres, subgenres and everything like that. The amount of music that gets remixed into certain genres and stuff like that. But you know, I think at the moment, I mean, in the past few months, I've been approached by CNN via Twitter to do a report because they're wanting to do. They did a whole article on the fact that the next couple of years is going to basically a new summer of love is going to come along. The youth of today are basically going to stand up and start putting on illegal raves in a big way again. So CNN covered it and came to me for some chat and some bants. So I did something there, and then literally a couple of weeks ago I had the same thing with ITV4. They came to me.
Mandy Gordon, club DJ.
Yeah, literally.
Mandi Dextrous.
Yeah, literally.
Mate, he looked so fucking scared when he sat in your studio. Yeah. What, dude, what are you on?
And you know what was really sucky, because I said to him, Nick, this guy, when he approached me via email, because he had read what I'd done in the CNN thing, and he approached me via email saying, you know, we're doing an article because there was a party in Bath.
Yeah.
The first
I'm actually gutted I missed that.
I am as well.
Did you not go?
No, I spent all morning because obviously, like yourself, I've done many years in the battlefields, putting out sound systems, DJing, taking loads of drugs. Now I love it, but trying to go to it, it's like I got to force myself, you know, because I don't do drugs anymore. I don't want to party all night. I want to get home to my bed and all of that kind of stuff. So I actually, that morning of the Bath party, because it was pissing it down with rain at night, and I was like, there's definitely nowhere I'm going. But in the morning, I woke up and I spent about 4 hours putting my coat on and my shoes, getting my keys, leaving the house, coming back, going, no, I'm not going. And then 10 minutes later, convinced myself, no, I'm missing the party of the year. I've got to go. And it went round, and in the end, I didn't go. But, you know, Nick, this broadcaster, he wanted to do this thing about the Bath party and covering the fact that, you know, is rave culture going to explode again? And I said, look, I'm interested in doing it, but I can't be involved if this whole article is going to be shed in a bad light. I can't do that. So he sent me the questions. I read the questions. I was like, fair. There's some pretty good questions there. That's fine. Let's do it. And he comes over to the studios in Bristol, Headroom, where I've kind of been doing a bit of work. New studios, awesome. It's really cool out there. And he comes along. And we spent an hour talking on camera, going over all kinds of different aspects. I made some really, really good points. A lot of it was, you know, about how if the government suppress the clubs, they suppress us anyway. Of course, this is going to happen. Like you're saying earlier, every 15, 20 years, something big happens with the government. everyone gets pissed off and everyone puts their middle finger up.
Yeah,
and,
they rebel.
You know,
the youth
rebellion.
rebel.
Yeah, the youth rebel. Not just the youth as well, but the other generations older that are suppressed and angry at everything. Like get behind it as well, and it's like all well, it was bound to happen kind of thing. And so yeah, we chatted for ages about all this stuff, and then it comes to the actual news broadcast, and they use 1 minute of me sat in the fucking studio, and probably the shittest.
It's gonna go off.
Yeah, it's probably the shittest bit of documentation out of the whole thing. Me just basically saying, if the government continues to suppress the clubs, then of course it's going to happen. The rave will never die, and it's just like, why did you use that?
Lining yourself up there.
Yeah, exactly. It's so stupid, but I guess that's what's going on at the moment, and it's like we're saying earlier, it's bound to happen. This kind of thing at the moment, and with COVID-19, we don't know. No one knows if it's bullshit, if it's just government conspiracy, if it's like we've got fucking Nightingale Hospital here in Bristol or whatever. That's not even been used. Yeah, the one in London didn't even get used.
How many Nightingale hospitals did they build?
Loads.
19 or 20 or something. None of them have been used.
No.
I mean, what are they? Why are they there? What are they for then?
Yeah. Well,
what are they? I mean, are they? Why are they? What's a Nightingale Hospital?
I don't know. It's yet again just.
Or is it just a hospital?
It's just an extension of some of the hospitals to create extra beds so they can treat all of the patients.
What patients?
Our numbers haven't even been that high. All of the tracking that they did, track and trace, has not worked. There's loads of like misinformation with figures and numbers. It's like all one big codswallop bullshit. The government suck so hard at this whole thing, and it's a pandemic. Nobody knows what happens in a pandemic. It's the great unknown. But our governments suck fucking balls.
Well, they gave a toy company manufacturer 12 million to make PPE. Yeah, they make toys. So but it just happens to be a good mate of Boris Johnson or Dominic Cummings or someone like that. I don't know. Personally, I don't. I mean, like you've been to you're at my house now. You're in my studio, but you've seen TVs around. But I don't actually have terrestrial TV.
No, I don't either.
The only news I actually listen or like can read or listen to is on Radio 2 in my van.
Right.
If I'm driving, so I'm really like not up on anything, which I'm quite happy with.
Yeah,
this is all bullshit anyway.
Yeah, I'm the same. I kind of hate TV and all that bullshit. Like more so now, social media as well. Like I've recently come away from social media, having a hiatus from all of that as well, because it's not good for your health.
Well, I got to agree with you there completely. I mean, when I read last week. Well, you had quite the story or rant or whatever you want to call it going on. I managed to my attention span is 0. So I get to the first paragraph, I'm done, basically. And that's what happened. And I wrote and I replied saying, all I had to do is all I had to read was that paragraph. And I know it completely mean. And then I deleted Facebook myself, and I haven't. Well, I went on it last night, basically for an hour. But in 5 days, something like that, I've noticed my concentration is back like 90%. I feel a lot better. I'm not resenting people. I'm not thinking my life's a piece of shit. I'm just getting on. I'm a lot happier.
I mean, that's what it's designed to do. Basically, everyone
to fuck you up.
Everyone thinks it's such a great thing, and like I think as an artist, it's like you kind of freak out because you know that you need to stay in the public eye. You know that you need to stay relevant, right, and stuff like that. So we all just plow our lives into it. But actually, really, on hindsight, right, something I was thinking about the other day is if you're an artist and you're lucky enough to have cut the custard and you're there.
Yeah.
You actually don't need social media because social media will follow you.
Yeah.
You just have to wake up and fart and maybe get someone to record it and you'll get 10 million views and it won't matter.
Yeah.
But so for the smaller underground artists that are just trying to stay, there, really now the music doesn't do the talking anymore. It's about you being online.
What you had for breakfast
and all that bullshit. Yeah, it's like documenting your shit, your life, and that fucking
like the Truman Show.
Like the Truman Show, just like the Truman Show, and that shit fucking sucks. And I just feel like when you put your heart and soul into your music and you plow away for it for so long, really that should be enough. That should be if it catches on and people like it and you have followers, then that's fine. It should be enough. You shouldn't have to then, bleed your life into it to the extent where you become mentally ill. And so that's kind of why I'm moving away from it. Being in this industry, not even on the commercial scene, it's hard because you have people around you that seem to just excel and get super big, and it's like effortless. And then there's other people that are super, super talented, like unbelievably talented, they just don't get nowhere, and then there's other people, that do everything right, but just the doors don't open and stuff, so
it's like 30% talent, 70% luck.
It is.
You got to be at the right place at the right time, but then you've got to have the minerals to back that up once that happened.
Yeah.
And if you miss it, then it's very hard to fucking catch it again. Put it that way. I was very fortunate with the acid techno thing.
Yeah.
But I literally rode the last wave back to the beach.
Yeah.
From the swell. Like giving it another 4 months, 6 months, something like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done what I've done. Yeah. Basically, well, and I've done quite a bit. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've always looked up to your career in acid techno. I've like out of the handful of acid techno dons, like everyone, no offense to Chris or anything like that, everyone, when they think of acid techno, think of Chris quite a lot of the time. But no offense to Chris, but I love what Chris does, and he's a diamond geezer. But for me, it's not my kind of techno. My kind of techno had always been say the kind of stuff that you do, that's a bit more harder, aggressive, a bit noisy, stuff like that. I love that. And then also Henry's style. I've always been super into what Henry does as well, Dave the drummer. And then like Ant as well. Always loved Ant stuff. And but I find Chris's stuff and like maybe a few people like Sterling and stuff like that, the acid, that kind of acid techno sound in that way, I found that kind of a bit harder to palate. For me, it wasn't what I was about, but I kind of, I've always looked at what you've done and stuff like that, and I really relish in the music that you've put out and you've made and stuff like that. So I've always looked up to that. But I actually also think as well, acid techno, in some ways is probably coming back round again,
Yeah, it seems to be. I mean, I've just bought that TD3.
Yeah.
And it's not a 303.
Yeah.
It isn't. But a little bit of saturation and a little bit of playing with it, you can get it. I don't know why I'm saying this, because I'm not really a 303 snob at all, but it's true. It doesn't. Yeah. It's a bit too clean. But then that's probably because it's new, and the most 303s are like 20 or 30 years old.
Yeah.
They're going to, the diodes and that, and a little bit of electronics inside are going to corrode a little bit. That's going to affect the sound and stuff like that. I mean, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I know that. That's nearly there. But like I said, a little bit of saturation, a little bit of distortion here and there on the actual EQ, on the channel, and that seems to do all right. But I'm writing it. That's the first time. I mean, I've done a couple of tracks last week.
Yeah.
For Technic, I think Gans the Terrible's label, and System Rejects.
I saw you post up about that. Actually, I think
I was really stoked that System Rejects took a track off mine, because I wanted to do one for them for ages.
Okay, System Rejects is that Ollie
Obi-Wan, Tacit, and Austin.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think I've ever met Austin, and I don't know if Austin Corrosive. Is it Austin Corrosive?
Corrosive, yeah.
That same guy? So. I don't know. Can't be too many Austins around.
Yeah.
Austin Powers?
No.
Austin Allegro?
Yeah, I take that. Austin Allegro was an awful
car.
Wow,
yeah, just got a label signed to a car, man.
Yeah. Not a good one at that.
Nah, shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's acid techno, I suppose. Well, no, it is acid techno. Like it's the same format and everything. So I'm back doing it, and I'm enjoying doing it.
That's good.
But I don't like doing. I've never really liked the political side of acid techno, like smash the state,
it's kind of got that like kind of punk kind of element,
which is all right.
Yeah, it's
fine,
cool. I get it.
Personally, with my music, I don't want to. I try. Well, I said try. I'm probably all over political. I don't know, but I want it. I want it to be entertaining. I want it to be listenable, if that makes sense. But I want it to be happy, enjoyable, uplifting.
Yeah.
Not I don't want it necessarily to have a meaning.
Yeah.
It doesn't need a meaning. It just needs to make you want to dance, basically.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that's a nice thing to have with writing, because I was saying earlier how I felt like I've kind of fallen out of love with what I've been doing because I've been so kind of caught up in comparing myself to other things, other people, other genres and stuff like that. I've kind of lost the love for what kind of put me in the situation that I am now with my Mandi Dextrous name, which is the tech, the jungle tech, ragga tech thing, which was my kind of bubble for a long time. But I think as I've got older as well, I've kind of matured a little bit with how I want my music to be and my techniques and getting it there, and actually writing the hard tech stuff, which is weird because I never actually wanted to be in the hard tech umbrella.
What did you want to be then? Like, what DJ did you want to be when you grew up? I just wanted to be a 909. But...
Yeah. Well, I grew up jungle drum and bass heads. I started with jungle drum and bass and hard house. Actually, they were the first couple of records I ever beat matched in my entire life. Was a couple of tidy tracks, hard house tunes, and then I had a couple of drum and bass records, which I think was probably something really obvious, like The 9 by Bad Company, and no, it was 2 Aphrodite tunes actually. Yeah, it was 2. My sister brought me an Aphrodite pack. It was Mickey Finn and Aphrodite. I think it was like a couple of his tracks, Aphrodite's tracks, and I started mixing with those, and then I just went off into drum and bass world, jungle drum and bass world, big time, and so I've always been that way. I love that side of things. But then later, when I started getting deep into the rave, I found ketamine and I found acid techno.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah. Yeah, I found acid techno, and then more so just UK techno was, like Intech Records and some of the stuff that Henry was putting out, and Maximum Minimum and all that kind of stuff that wasn't so 303 based. It was more just rolling, kind of just like really good stuff. Some of the
was it still the Stay It Forever in the Stay It Forever camp though? Like
it was, yeah.
You can call Henry or David Drummer part of Stay It Forever. Well,
yes.
Like in that sort of genre or in that camp, obviously. And Maximum Minimum is Chris's label.
Yes.
Was it still in the Stay It Forever or the Free Squat Party camp sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't reaching outside of that. Thing. I mean, every now and again, there'd be like a Nucleus release that would come out that was like, I've forgotten the guy's name, but it was like Nucleus Gold or something like that, and there was like Iguana and stuff like that. Yeah.
Did you ever know any of those guys at Nucleus?
No, I didn't. No,
I did. I knew Ed, and I knew the owner of Nucleus as well, but I can't remember his name. When we did Infectious Distribution, I actually met him at PopCon. We went to PopCon. Touting our wares and our labels, and what's it called, rubbing shoulders, schmoozing, and blah blah blah. And I met him there. But Nucleus is it's very, very business orientated. It's like a production line, right? So you'd get the producers and the artists, like, I don't know, get there. Let's say they get there for 9:30 in the morning, so they're in the foyer of the offices having a cup of coffee and chewing the shit on the sofas with each other and that. Yeah. And then Ed would come out almost with a clipboard and go, right, Nick, you're in Studio 1, you're doing Nucleus, whatever, like today, and Matey, you're in Studio 2 with Matey, and you're doing Nucleus Gold today, and then you two are doing the Nucleus Remix label today. Yeah. And, it was literally a production line.
That's
like
amazing.
That. Yeah.
That's
I know I was smashing them out as well. I know, but it was hard house. It wasn't my thing, but it was quality.
Yeah, but there was some stuff on there that I thought was kind of verging on techno as well. Yeah. It was kind of some of this, like Nucleus Gold, maybe there was some crossover stuff on there, which I liked. And then like Pounding Grooves as well, stuff like that. So that was my like kind of. I liked acid techno. I liked the 303 thing, all the crazy like 303s going up and blah blah blah, and all these epic tunes. Some of the stuff Chris was doing and everything like that. But for me, it was more like just more percussive pounding, kind of just like driving stuff. That was what I was into, and I lost myself in a world of ketamine and techno for quite a while, and then came away from that and started this kind of voyage with gender and all that kind of stuff. And that's when I moved into a place on my own. I stopped doing drugs, and I got Ableton, and that's when I started learning Ableton, like 2010 or something. And
so was this while you were still Andy?
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Or was the Andy Mandy transition?
Yeah, it was kind of that transitional period for me. But I think before that, yeah, I was kind of known as Drew at that point.
Drew?
Because I was Andy until I was about like 17, 18, and then I started getting these like clouded thoughts and feelings about myself, and I wanted everyone to call me Drew.
Right.
And the Mandi Dextrous thing hadn't quite started then. It was on the verge, and then came away from the squat scene and the drugs, moved into a place on my own, and I guess that's when Mandi Dextrous kind of started around 2011.
I only just got Mandi Dextrous about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
As in, it is like a play on ambidextrous, right?
It is, Because I'm a drummer, so I used to play drums.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to play.
So interesting. I know so many DJs that used to be drummers.
Yeah, I used to play drums in a lot of like kind of like shit bands, basically,
Right.
and I wasn't the best of drummers. I just loved it. I used to have a drum kit I'd play every day. I'd send my next door neighbours crazy when I was bunking off school all the time and playing my drums all day. But and that's what brought me to love jungle, because of the crazy drums in it, and also techno because of the patterns. You get a lot of like polyrhythms and stuff like that, which I found amazing. So then when I learnt to produce, what I was trying to do was I was always at home on my decks. I had Vestax because they had the plus 50, minus 50, and what I'd be doing at home would be playing jungle and drum and bass records alongside a techno tune, so a pound and grooves record. And I'd just speed the pound and grooves record up to the same speed as my jungle drum and bass, 175 kind of BPM.
Right.
And that was like, it's like, this is a groove. I like this. This is a groove. And so then I got Ableton and started producing and wanted to make my drum and bass jungle, but with a 4/4 beat.
Yeah.
Like it was flip mode back to 92 when it was hardcore, and it was like a lot of jungle breaks with a 4/4 beat, just a bit slower. It was the same thing as that jungle techno thing with the CH, but I kind of wanted to make it a bit faster, more jungle drum and bass orientated, but 4/4. And then that landed me in this ballpark of being a hard tech artist.
Right.
And so all of these years I've been ploughing away at my music under this umbrella term of hard tech artist. And really in my head, it's just drum and bass and jungle, but 4/4.
Right. So it's hard tech. You say you call it an umbrella. Is hard tech like I guess like bass lines like an umbrella genre, isn't it? Like, which include like I don't know, like dubstep and any other bass lines, sort of like electro house, whatever.
Yeah.
So is what's it? Sorry, I forgot what you said. What did you say?
So hard tech.
Hard tech.
Yeah.
So what does hard tech have underneath its umbrella?
So hard tech is very much European. So it started with the French guys. And I think like Matt Weaselbuster was he's French but lived a lot in Prague and Czech.
So very European sort of what's it called? What's that? Oh fuck me, I can't.
Like
remember.
Makina.
No, I'm thinking about the French tech.
Tech.
So like that sort of
So French tech is kind of like that French techno. It's a short term for French techno. You got like Frenchcore, which is like hardcore but in a French way.
Right.
And then you've got like hard tech, which is basically a more techno based sound. It's not so distorted kicks and stuff like that. And then you've also got tribe as well, tribe techno.
Right.
And
I'm really learning something here.
Yeah, these genres kind of, I guess, in a way came like off the back of Makina, which is like a Spanish Euro dance kind of thing. Like, here in the UK, Gabba came from taking house records and playing them at 45 instead of on 33. So in a way, this Makina sound came, which is still huge up north. Makina, it's massive.
North of England?
Yeah, north of England. Makina is almost like commercial.
I never heard of it.
Makina's hilarious. It's great.
Right.
So Makina is like basically Spanish trance, but sped up.
Right.
So instead of it being at 130 BPM, they play it at 180, and it's really cheesy, chanty, loads of really cheesy vocals and stuff like that. And that inspired a lot of the European hard tech sound and stuff like that. So Matt Weaselbuster is massively inspired by Makina and stuff like that. But he was one of the first people in Europe to take a kick and put a bass after it. So it was kick bass, button, 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 instead of just bam, 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 bam.
Well, you mean like a kick drum after the kick drum?
So originally, I guess like Tribe and French tech or French core is just one kick, and they either make the kick long enough so it stretches between beat
got
for
a lot
beat.
of decay on it.
So it's bam, and they'll distort that to make it bam, and then it'd be like that kind of driving pattern, like bam, bam, bam kind of thing, but quite fast. And that was very much, like I said, French tech, French techno, French core, Tribe, stuff like that. But then like Matt Weaselbuster came along, and instead of making the kick long, he made a short punchy kick with an offbeat bit of bass, and then the next short punchy kick, offbeat bit of bass. So it's more like button, 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 button. This like kind of jump, kind of offbeat kind of driving thing.
The offbeat bass line's been around from the very beginning.
Yeah, with in the techno world, this techno CH world, stuff like that for sure, and with house and everything like that. But in the hard tech scene, that's what created hard tech. That's what changed it from being Tribe or French core or French tech as such, French techno, into hard tech.
Yeah.
And that sound became really big.
Right.
And it went kind of all over Europe. So there was Spanish hard tech artists, French, Czech, everything like that. And then, from there, you kind of got like the first person to really get big from it in the UK, which is Vandal. And what Vandal did is he was known as Spiral Psy before he was Vandal.
Really?
So,
Why, he's got connections with Spiral Tribe?
Not Spiral Tribe, no. So also, I guess in the sense of the UK side of that as well, we have Spiral Tribe. So SB23 and say like Desert Storm, they were often out there in Europe playing that European.
Well, I was going to ask about IXI and SB23 and everyone, because they were based, I don't know if they still are, but I knew they were based in France, and they were doing their own sort of like harder techno style. I didn't know if that come under the umbrella as well.
Yeah, I think so, but I think those guys being, bred of the UK scene, I think that's where they made their stomping ground in Europe, is they were taking this influence from the UK techno and probably a lot of influence from you guys and the drum and bass scene and garage and house and stuff like that here, and taking that into Europe and creating their own thing in that like Simon Crystal distortion with this like kind of, it's like slower breakbeaty but techno kind of weird acid thing. So that kind of exploded with that. But with the UK thing with hard tech as such, like hard tech was never really big here in the UK. No one was really, it was very niche. No one was really that into it. And when I first came across it, when I was living on my own, kind of moving into my Mandi land and stuff like that, it was weird music. It wasn't very interesting. It was like just quite fast techno that just didn't really do much. And then there was like, I wanted to find, what I wanted to hear was like jungle drum and bass tracks, but techno, faster techno, but real jungle drum and bass techno. The only person doing it, there was a label called Jungle Tech Movement. It was a UK thing. It was by a guy in Bristol called Dan Fix. There was also a guy from Milton Keynes called Ryan Reckup, and big up those two guys. And they were kind of doing the sound, but it was different. It was like, it was more hard tech, but with a bit of jungle influence.
Right.
So what I wanted to hear was like jungle drum and bass slammers, all these massive drum and bass tunes, which from back in the day were actually quite easy to impersonate, like the big tunes from like Moving Fusion and Andy C and all that lot. All the bass lines are so simple to replicate and stuff like that. So I wanted to put that into my techno and create this jungle drum and bass tech thing. But then Simon was out there doing this ragatech thing, and I found what Simon was doing quite interesting, because he was also using jungle drum and bass in his ragatech, but it was more based around reggae. reggae's an international sound. So if you get that right, it's going to blow up. And it did for Psy. It literally popped off. And still to this day, he tours, regularly. And he's amazing. And actually, it's really cool because at first there was a lot of, I felt quite jealous towards him. There was a lot of I want to do what you're doing. And instead of setting more of a trend, I started following a trend. And actually, there's only a small amount of room at the top for that. And Simon's got that.
Yeah.
And now, after all these years, Si's actually become a really good mate. And we hang out and we make tunes together and got a lot of love for each other, and he supports me, I support him, we back each other. It's great. But his sound really exploded because it's that reggae thing, the European hard tech thing, and it's taken him to new levels, and it's amazing. But what I've been doing, as I was saying earlier, is quite weird because it doesn't really fit in Europe and it doesn't really fit in the UK, and it's somewhere in between, which is kind of, I guess, me in a way, because I'm in between, after years of pursuing my gender headfuck, I've ended up in a place now where I'm having to come to terms with it all again because I feel like I'm not either or either. I live somewhere in the middle, so that's why I guess I find the industry frustrating because where does someone sat in the middle musically and in terms of their gender and stuff like that really fit in? So it's quite a difficult situation that I've ended up in. So
do you think you're sorry, I don't know how to describe it. I want to say it's not, I want to say gender, but you're in between. You say you're in between genders at the moment, I don't know the terminology or how to actually ask it. But do you think I don't want to say complications because that's a negative thing, but do you think your gender is held you back, climbing up the ranks, let's say, in music?
I mean, I've said this to my friends, like some of my closest friends before. I wonder where I'd have been now if my gender was never an issue. Yeah. And I wonder where I would have been if I'd have stayed as a guy.
Do you get a lot of negativity for are you, I don't know how to put it. Do you turn up and people were shocked that or surprised or or they take the piss out of you or look down on you or anything like that? Do you ever experience anything like that in the music industry?
No, I mean, at first.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to offend. I'm being a bit ignorant about it because I don't know how to describe it or to say it properly.
It's a good question to ask because being the way I am and how I've been over my entire career. At first it was difficult because at first I was moving away from playing free parties and hosting free parties as Andy and transitioning. And when I started getting booked to play my own music, there was people that knew me from before and promoters that knew me from before, and it would be quite confusing. They wouldn't know how to react to me or deal with me. But I never really had that much bad stuff said about me, certainly not to my face, maybe in the background, right. I don't know, but I've always just kind of just been blasé and got on with it, whatever. But there is this side of me that is kind of frustrated by it because I know that the women in the industry are very much, it's a bigger battle for the women in the industry. Right. It's a very male dominated industry, and nowadays things are starting to change. There's a lot more women coming through in the industry, a lot, and I don't.
And they're doing well as well.
Yeah,
they're doing really well. Whether they're doing it because they've got a great pair of tits or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're clearly talented. They clearly got the minerals to do it.
Yeah.
Whether they're doing it because it's a bunch of sex-starved male promoters wants to book them or not, I don't know. I mean,
there is that side of it that's like a bit like of an unknown.
Yeah.
Are these artists just getting booked?
But they are good. They have got the minerals. That's what I mean. I'm not trying to discredit them in any way.
No, I think a lot of confusion as well with females in the industry is, people would say, oh, there's not enough females in the industry because it's really male dominated and the guys don't give the women the same accreditation. But actually, it's not to do with that. It's just purely down to the fact that there's not that many women out there that think, I want to be a DJ, or I want to learn how to produce.
Or got the confidence to push themselves.
Yeah, or got the confidence to push themselves. Because, you know, for women, it's very much the case of like kind of judgment is quite a kind of important thing, and self-confidence as well, and everything like that. So yeah, I think really now we've got like this like kind of surge of you know, younger women today coming through the ranks, and having spent so many years listening to the guys out there doing it, they're actually starting to realize that DJing is interesting, and making music is really interesting, and stuff like that. So more and more talented females are coming through. But in terms of where I stood with my gender, it's like, because I'm somewhere in the middle, and even in my heyday where I was really confident about my gender as such, and I was like, you know, I'm happy being female and this, that, and the other. You know, there was always traits about me, like when I DJ like a fucking guy on cocaine, just like hyper.
Well, what's that though?
Well, I don't know what is a guy on cocaine, but you know what I mean. I'm quite masculine in the way that I DJ.
Yeah, but Nina Kravitz jumps around.
Yeah,
you know, she's clearly a female.
Yeah, but in my head, I don't do it with finesse, you know, or anything like that. There's nothing really.
Fucking no, you know, like who does when you're enjoying it? It's not about being finesse when you're enjoying yourself. It's about getting on with it and enjoying yourself, isn't it?
Yeah,
letting yourself go.
Yeah, it is about letting yourself go, and that's certainly something that I've always done. I'm very much like loads of energy when I play, but I do kind of feel like it's so weird because trans people are still quite taboo, right? So you know, the society has now become very much more open and accepting of gay people.
I don't know if you remember when I first met you. I mean, like, I probably spent about 3 weeks just bombarding you with questions about everything, wouldn't it? You know, and I was ignorant. You're the first trans person I've met. So you know, I wanted to learn. You know, if you're going to learn, you need to ask questions.
Yeah, definitely. You know? And that's something I've always, you know, never had a problem with, and it's good that you've asked, you know, and I prefer it when people ask, because actually to have some understanding of what it is to be trans is for anyone a good thing, because it's helping society understand, you know, because the more people that get it, the more open it can be. But you know, even in 2020, it's mad, right? It's just mad. It's so suppressed, and there's so many trans people out there, and it's not like it's a new thing. Trans people have been around since the day of remembrance, since the early man. And you know, so it's really difficult being trans in the scene. So I've been lucky because I have this amazing rave scene that's been supportive. And I feel like, in a way, me being open about it has helped change some views, helped people kind of realize that it's not all, you know, about, you know, black and white, and it really isn't. And so I've always tried to wear my heart on my sleeve with it, but at the same time, I feel like it has maybe held me back a little bit, and stuff like that, because maybe some promoters don't take so much notice about me because of the way I am, you know, and stuff like that, because it's just something that they don't understand. So they just maybe don't understand what I'm doing. My music is all too crazy for them, and this, that, and the other. But you know, it's just weird, and it's frustrating, and it's really, really frustrating when, you know, I've spent so long trying so hard, but I just don't seem to be able to get to where I want to be. And now I'm at this point in my life where I'm at a transitional crossroads yet again, because I thought I felt more comfortable as female, but I knew I didn't feel comfortable as male. So that was fine for a while, but now I don't feel comfortable as either.
Really?
So it's really hard. And in sociable situations, that really shows it for me mentally, because, you know, it's like, if I was in a room full of girls and they were all, you know, chatting away, talking about boyfriends, talking about sex, talking about all this stuff, I'd be sat there not knowing what to do, say, where to look.
Right.
And if I did talk, I'd feel paranoid about what I was saying or how I presented myself in the way that I spoke and this, that, and the other. And then if I sit in a room of guys, they're all like super laddie, talking about wanking and all this kind of stuff. And I don't feel comfortable at all.
How come women talk about sex and blah, 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 and blokes talk about gratification?
I don't know. I don't know, but it certainly is the way. You know, and it's a weird sociable conflict that I have. And that's why I kind of feel so indifferent now, is because after all these years, I'm still not comfortable in either situation.
Right.
And I've also found myself that I'm not happy with me as a person and my life. So at the moment, 2020, I think, is turning into a bit of a kind of school yourself situation,
right?
Because I've now got to go on this journey to try and figure myself out a bit more.
Did you not go on a trans march in Bristol a couple months ago?
It was a couple of weeks back. Yeah, it was actually really good because I moved to Bristol.
Do you know any other trans people in Bristol? I mean, I'm guessing you must have met a couple or seen a couple at the march, but before then.
Yeah, so I don't really have any trans close friends.
So you don't really have a community within a community, within Bristol.
No, I moved here thinking I might find that.
Yeah. I remember you saying that, you've gone from where High Wycombe, wasn't it?
I was in Wycombe, and then you rescued me and brought me to Bristol.
I won't say rescue you, but how big's Wycombe? Is it a market town? Or?
Yeah, it's not very big.
Yeah, so you went from, let's say, at best a bigoted small market town to a big city.
Yeah.
And I know at the time you were hoping to find something a bit more there. Did you, or
no, not really? I mean,
why is that then?
I don't know. I guess
you looking?
No.
Or just been flat out busy with music?
Yeah. It was a combination of a few things, I think. It was one, sinking myself into Bristol, getting really involved in the music and gigging a hell of a lot more. And then also, I think, my own insecurities around my gender, because I haven't felt 100% about my gender for quite a while. And at the point when I moved to Bristol, I was still unsure, kind of confused, and I think
that's a long time ago, man.
Yeah, I've been in Bristol 6 years,
6 years? Yeah. Has it been that long?
2014 was when you brought me to Bristol, so right. It's been a while, and I think because
you make it sound like I trafficked you to Bristol, brought you to Bristol and put you in the studio and made you work.
No, I mean, yeah, you came to my mum's, loaded my stuff in the van and gave me a lift, so which I probably wouldn't have done it myself if it hadn't been for you. So you did save my bacon there in a big way, so I owe you for that. But I think a lot of why I haven't got a trans community around me in Bristol is because I've kept myself quite closed.
Yeah.
And the trans rally that happened a couple of weekends ago in Bristol was really good for me. And actually there's been a few situations where it's been like kind of trans rallies or like gay pride and stuff like that, where I felt like I've needed to go because I need to meet people, I need to network, and I need to have some trans friends in my life. But because of my own kind of self-loathing and hatred of my situation that I'm in, I've kept myself away because I end up just bursting into tears.
Right.
But I made it down to the march, the rally the other day. It was a really prominent cause for me because they're trying at the moment in Parliament, they're trying to take away trans rights, and they're trying to make it illegal for trans people that don't have the right gender certifications and that haven't got the right genitalia as such to use public places. So there's a woman called Liz Truss that works in Parliament to protect women-only spaces. She's basically just a TERF, what they call a TERF, which is a trans exclusionary radical feminist. And is
that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a horrible thing.
Right,
it's a horrible thing.
Right.
And yeah, so this motion is being kind of passed at the moment. They're actually putting it through, which would basically see trans people that haven't gone through an operation discriminated against for using the gender toilets that they want to be able to use. And you know, if you're in the trans world, it's really important that this doesn't happen, because as a trans person transitioning, you haven't had an operation yet, but you have to live in the gender that you feel that you are.
Of course.
So that excludes you from that. And then there's also a vast amount of trans people out there that don't even want to have an operation. They're happy enough. They just need to be who they are.
They want to dress up and feel that way.
Yeah, they just want to get on with their lives in the gender role that is comfortable to them. So it's really, really important. So that day I felt I had to be there. I had to go down, and I do have like one trans friend in Bristol called Jess, and she's wicked. She's the person that I sold my first van to get this green one that was a nightmare.
Right.
And she's wicked.
The trans van.
The trans van. Yeah, exactly. And she's wicked, and you know, she's got a really cool girlfriend, and she's got a lot of friends around her that are trans, non-binary and stuff like that. And so that day was really cool for me because I sat with them.
Did you go with them then?
I went down on my own, but they showed up.
That must have been a big effort to do. I mean, I'd be nervous to turn up, especially something like that on my own.
Yeah, I went down on my own because I just felt like I had to do it. I woke up early and just got down there. I was down there like an hour and a half before it even started, and I just sat on the grass and just thought about things and stuff. And then Jess turned up with her little crew, and we all sat together, and it was really great. It was an eye-opening day, and some of the speeches and what went on was amazing. And it made me realise that there is a huge community in Bristol.
Right.
Ginormous. And I came away thinking, I need to know these people.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
I need to actually start kind of getting involved in that. But I'm back in the situation where I haven't, and I don't really know how to make these connections and stuff.
I think you got to make the effort.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like it's the same as everything. If you don't push yourself, you're never going to do it. And if you don't try it, you never know whether you're going to like it or not.
Exactly.
So a mate of mine, he split up with his girlfriend, and he was phoning me up, and like he'd phone me up like once a week. Started phoning me up religiously on a Friday evening, once a week.
Right.
We'd be on the phone for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
And he met another girl, and that stopped.
Right.
And I was thinking, oh, fucking hell, nice one, mate. You know, like, all right, now I'm not wanted.
Yeah.
And I stewed about it for a few weeks and that.
Yeah.
But then I just thought, well, it doesn't stop me phoning him.
Yeah.
You know, I never phoned him, but I could start phoning him, and like I did, and we were having these 1 hour, 2 hour conversations again. So you know, probably a really shit analogy actually.
No, it is. It makes sense.
If you don't push yourself through something, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah,
I guess,
and I think this is why me taking a hiatus from everything right now, because I guess if anything, this is the right time to do it, right? COVID-19 has hit. We're all fucked. Everything's fucked this year. We've not got a festival season. We've not got
it's the best time to do something different.
Yeah, so it is
or radical
it
even.
It is actually a really good time to take time out. And I think it's really important that I actually stick to this now and do it, because everything this year has kind of got so on top of me. It's starting to break down relationships and stuff that I have with certain people that if I didn't have, I don't know where I'd be.
Yeah.
You know? And they're extremely important to me to have. So and I can't let those things break down. So right now I think taking some time out, moving away from writing so much, because all I do and all I have been doing for the last few years since I've been struggling with my music career is I basically run away from my feelings by sinking into Ableton and trying to write a banger. What I do, I mean, people kind of don't understand my level of creativity, because every single week I'll write a banger, you know, and what in my head is in a banger, for some other people they might think the same. I just churn them out constantly, and that's because all I'm doing is escaping everything and just writing because it makes me feel better. The same as
and not addressing certain issues. You think
not addressing any issues, burying my head in the sand. Ableton is my sand, and that could be fine if I was dealing with the other stuff, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So for me right now as an artist, it's like I feel like I've done enough. I've put in enough. I've put in a lot, and I've actually got some tracks on the back burner that I've now given to a totally different record label. Because I've got this new sound that I've been developing over the last 2 years as a new project called Speed Bass. Because I'm trying to get away from this umbrella of hard tech, I've created this sound called Speed Bass, which is basically taking my absolute passion for like bass house and like kind of bassline house music. I've always loved it. I've always been really into it. When I was in Wickham, all I used to mix at home was bass house and stuff like that. And also my drum and bass and everything like that. And I'm taking that and focusing on it more. So I've slowed my techno side of things right back down to drum and bass speed, because I was like up in the 190s, 195, 200, which is like fine for Europe, but it's not okay for here.
Right.
And I've actually slowed it right back down to, I'm writing it like between 170, 180 is as fast as I go with this project. And I'm really trying to infuse more melodic bass house style bass lines with drum and bass and my 4/4, and I've called it Speed Bass. And I started the project a couple of years ago, and it's been doing well. Some of the tracks actually have had more leverage than any of my tech stuff, you know, and there's been quite a lot of notoriety around some of those tracks that I put out. And I kind of like writing that as well, you know. It's kind of made my fire in the studio a bit. But being the situation I'm in now, needing to take a hiatus, I'm going to leave that where it is. So I've written these new tracks. I've decided to put it on a different label because it's not really working on Amen for techno. There's a really cool Bristol label called Bass Militia that do a lot of bass music, drum and bass, bass line, garage, 4/4, anything. They do all of it. They're doing really well. You know, they're a new label. They haven't got a massive following, but I like their ethos. I like what they're about. So I was like, guys, take my Speed Bass and run with it, you know, because it needs to go on a different label.
Is this vinyl or digital?
Just
or
digital
both?
stuff. Yeah, just digital.
Do you think they're going to go to vinyl?
I don't know if they will, because I'm not sure how big the vinyl scene is in where what they're specialising in.
It seems to be like, how can I put this, like older genres, more mature genres of dance music.
Yeah.
Like techno, house, maybe not even house now, but like drum and bass, you know, they still like vinyl strong.
Yeah.
But the newer sort of stuff, maybe dubstep.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Dubstep was really big on vinyl. Dubstep was huge. Yeah, right. Dubstep was huge. And actually, dubstep right now is starting to come back into play. So
did it disappear?
It did die a death quite bigly, actually. And it is starting to come back now because after the kind of insurgence of dubstep and stuff like that, and like garage and dubstep were really big around the same time and stuff, they both faded out, right, and kind of fizzled out, became more underground and not so much attention, and drum and bass was a big leader. Techno got really big and has always been big, actually, and everything. But those kind of genres kind of just got a bit forgotten about, and like, you know, fidget and breaks and
see, I was fucking banging to fidget.
I loved your fidget
and it literally died overnight.
It did, yeah. It was
gutted.
like, it's
amazing. If I had given up techno, I'd have fucked it all off for fidget.
Yeah, it's
great.
It was
fucking brilliant.
Yeah, Fidget House is amazing. You know, it's really good.
I did what your birthday? I played. Was it your birthday? I played at.
Yeah. It was, my 30th, I think.
Was it 30th?
Yeah, I think it was my 30th. And it was at Reading at the festival.
Yeah. I played a mixture of like, I don't know, old school fidget, techno. I just sort of like chucked it all in together and hoped for the best. But that was around that time. I was loving the fidget.
Yeah, and you did a fidget mix that I still actually have on my computer at home.
That's 2009, isn't it?
It's fucking great. It's really good. Yeah,
it is great.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool.
Suddenly realised that I'm in public now, admitting I'm great.
It's totally fine. You should.
Yeah. No,
but, it was a good mix.
I think as a DJ, as you go along, there's mixes that you do, and then there's mixes that you actually fucking really like yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, like out of I don't know, however many mixes I've done, I've put online or done mixtapes back in the day or whatever. You know, that. Rocking the custard on a whole wheat quaver. That's what it's called. It's one of my favourite ones. It's up there in my top 5 mixes that I've really enjoyed putting together. It worked. It really everything just really worked. It went together nicely. It went from to the God of Abraham was the first one. And what was that? 1988, 1989?
Right, okay.
And breakbeat, or like hardcore, breakbeat, whatever you want to call it, and then moved right up to like present day sort of techno. So I went right through the genres. And
yeah.
Get it. When you get it together, it's a real good feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, those like kind of musical journeys where you mash together loads of genres and stuff.
And that's great. To me, that's what big room DJs are. You know, like you don't. You tend, personally, I mean, it's just a personal preference, but like, you know, a good DJ or what they call big room DJ, they put a good record in with other good records. Doesn't matter what genre it is, but they make it work in that set. Derek May is fucking incredible. Right. I've seen him go from 130 BPM to 150, down to 120, down to 180. Yeah. And admittedly, I was on like quite a lot of nitrous oxide, but like, I didn't notice a thing.
But I guess, you know, that is, you know, what those big room DJs are best for. Like Cole Cox does that, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes them big room DJs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what makes them the top of their game, basically. Yeah,
exactly. But
anyone could smash out an hour and a half the same genre, same BPM. It's not fucking rocket science.
No, definitely not. And you know, I think that now as well is quite a prominent thing, because you got to think now, right? All of the kids out there, it's so easy to mix now. You don't even have to mix. You just all the technology does it for you. Yeah. So but
they still need to drop that track in the right place for it to drop and build.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that's where there's the difference between just your run-of-the-mill bedroom DJ now and stuff like that, and the DJs that actually make it through. Because, you know, really now a lot of the stigma is around people that actually create their own music, and so the producers are actually getting really big. There's producers out there that are bigger than some DJs that can't even DJ and never wanted to. It's just they make tunes. But then also, you know, in order to be just a good DJ, really you need to have such a good selection, you know, and be able to put it together in the best way possible, and using all of the techniques and technology that's out there now, creating mashups on the fly, and also being able to move between genres and stuff like that is a really big thing now.
Do you think it's important? Actually, I forgot what I was going to say. Do you think it's important for a DJ to be playing like new tracks every single week in, week out, or the fact that there's so many hundreds of thousands of tracks out there that you can go through the different decades, and pick out classic tracks and put them in? Or do you think it needs to be new stuff week in, week out?
I think it depends what genres you're in and stuff like that, right? It's like, I mean, if you're a really good techno DJ, but all you play is acid techno from 2002 to 2008 or something,
that is a niche. That'll be a niche.
You're not going to be doing that well. But if you're playing across the board and playing loads of new stuff in with it as well, then it's going to cut you a bit above the rest. But I think nowadays it is just about, you know, being on the ball with what's coming out, being you know, it still is about all of that. I mean, even back in the day, we used to go crate digging and find all the new stuff that nobody had, and bits and bobs and white labels.
That's what I mean. Like, you know, back in the day, it was like, it's like, you know, like you'd get a track, like, you know, like say it wasn't a white label, it's a proper release, you know, and you'd be wanting to cover it up so no one else could look over your shoulder and get it. I mean, do you think it's like that important these days, like that sort of thing?
I think,
because there's so many good records out there.
So I think what's important now is how you do it, right? So for instance, there's a crew in Bristol called Born on Road. I've seen them rise through the ranks in the drum and bass scene. They started in like 2013.
What are they called?
Born on Road.
Born on Roads?
Yeah, Born on Road.
Or as in roadmen?
Yeah, as in roadmen.
Right,
Born on Road. They spend their whole time on road. And it's basically...
I want to be born on boat because I'm a fisherman, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, at first, when I heard that name, I was just like... That's never going to do anything. That sucks. Actually, it doesn't suck. It's a really clever name, and they smashed it, and they're smashing it still. I really hope I didn't offend anyone by saying it sucked, because it at the time I just thought it was a bit out there. But same thing with Amen for Techno. I never thought it would catch on, but it did. What they do is, I think, exactly what you need to be doing now, right? So they have contacts for vocalists, like all the big vocalists in the jungle drum and bass scene, like General Levy and Mr. Williams, everyone like that. And they run a Bamboo Dub studio, which is J-Man, part of Born on Road. He records a lot of reggae artists and stuff like that. And they take all the big tunes that are coming out of the drum and bass scene, but they don't just play them. They make them their own. So they get vocals put on them. They do their own mashups with them. They remix them in their own way. And then they also produce a lot of stuff as well. And that puts them a cut above the rest, right? So when they go out and play a drum and bass show, they might be dropping the latest track from Bo, but it's not how you know it. They'll drop it and they'll have mashed it up with something else. They do really quick mixes. It's all just energy, and it's all their own flavour. And that's what they're doing. And they're using all the latest technologies, like Record Box and Ableton, and producing a lot of stuff.
Utilising what they've got
to create those mashups that no one else has. And I think in a way that is something that's kept my career going. Is that something that I do all the time? I play stuff in my sets that is from like classic drum and bass, that I'll just, instead of actually remixing the track, I'll just take the track, mash up the structure and turn it into a 4/4 track. Like there's a really big track by Subfocus called Time Warp, which was like a monumental drum and bass tune, 2010ish or something, I can't remember. But I just took that track, and on the drop, it drops with a kick and a snare, obviously, and the kick is very on its own. So I just took the kick and duplicated it, turned it into 4/4 and mashed it up. And now I've got this like mashup version that I play that everyone goes fucking nuts to, because it's Time Warp, but it's not as you know it, and then I do the same with like noisier tracks, and then also I take from the drum and bass scene and put it into my tracks, literally just put it into my tracks, and that's what kind of keeps that alive. So that's where I've been kind of like surviving, I guess. So I think it's a different game now, it's not so much just about straight playing records and just straight crate digging for those rarities and stuff like that, because it is
you're making the rarities.
You're making the rarities.
You get the rarity, then you put your own twist on it, and then take it out.
So one thing the people in the drum and bass scene have been doing during lockdown to keep their heads above waters without the gigs is they've been working really hard to create what's called dub packs, and dub packs consist of loads of bait remixes. Like, I don't know, Baby D, Let Me Be Your Fantasy. They'll take it, do a really, really big drum and bass remix of it. They'll put together like 5 or 6 of these kind of rip-off bootlegs and put them in a dub pack and fucking sell them. You know what I mean? And that's how they're getting by with it, because that's the only thing that we've got at the moment, because we've lost our gigs and stuff. But I'm not that savvy. I'm not on the. I remix a lot of stuff illegally and stuff like that, but my head's in a different game at the moment, so I've kind of lost out on that, and I haven't been doing that.
You've been tutoring though, right?
I've been doing some tutoring, online on Zoom, because one thing I love to do is teach.
How's that been working out then?
It's been okay. I had about at the start of lockdown, I put up a poster on my Facebook about it, and I've had about 8 or 9 clients over the course of lockdown come to me for like 1 session or 2 sessions. I charge 30 quid a session for an hour, and it's been really good because I love helping people with projects, and I love helping in general. I'm 100% a helper, and when people come to me with a track, and they might not be quite good at this aspect of it or that aspect, I take the track and I go through it with them online, and I mix it for them, and I reverse.
Is it one of their they come to you with a track, their own track, and then you break that down?
Yeah, quite a lot of the time, yeah, and it's actually turned out really cool because
that's really that's quite an an interesting twist on tutoring, because I would have thought it would have been I don't know, like if someone says, or I want to do a tutorial or something, it's like I expect someone pop up and Zoom go, this is a kick drum. Okay, boom, boom, boom. But like to deconstruct one of their tracks, go, look, this is where you could improve this bass line or whatever, or you should do this to the kick, and like help them structure it. Then they've got that as a template then, I guess, and they can refer to it back as well.
That's essentially what I'm trying to give them. Because, I mean, I don't claim to be the best of producers at all. I actually don't really think I'm that great at producing, but...
So you say that, but your tracks are fucking brilliant.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I there's certain aspects I like, but as any producer, you're always striving to get better, right? It's like when you started DJing, you're always trying to make that perfect mixtape. It's kind of the same thing, but basically, when someone sends me a track and I listen to it, or especially if I can see it in a project, I'll look through it and think, why have you got 3 compressors on this track? You could, definitely get more out of it with just one, if you're using it right, or you kind of got like a saturator and then an EQ and then a limiter and then a compressor, and it's like your chain's all wrong and stuff like that. And so I kind of see the tracks and think we could deconstruct that a bit, mix it a little bit better, and then process it a bit more in a more basic way to try and get a better result, because I think simplicity is a lot of the time key with production.
A lot of the time with writing a track, it's what you leave out opposed to what you add.
Yeah, exactly. And
it's knowing that when to walk away or when to tie it up.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's something that the Speed Bass project has shown me, actually, because when I write with my Speed Bass, my tracks are like maybe like 10 channels of audio and 4 channels of MIDI, whereas my tech tracks would be 100 channels, and so much going on, and just like I'd just be so much cancelling out and so much bad phasing and this, that, and the other. And actually now when I write, it's like I just keep things fucking super simple, and it's actually working way better. And it's my tracks are sounding cleaner.
They sound louder because you've got less in them as well.
Louder, yeah, because obviously essentially what you're trying to do is send less peaks to your limiter, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of just bearing that in mind when I'm producing now is really good. And because I've been schooling myself in that way, when people bring projects to me, I can look at them and think, yeah, this is good, but you're where I was thinking 4 years ago, where I was just throwing everything at everything. And actually, if you strip it back, you've got some really sick elements there that you can just work with. And so that's why I really enjoy helping. I love that. And so I've been doing the online Zoomies over lockdown, helping people. And then my friend Ian has opened a studios in Bristol, in Brislington. And I want to work there as a tutor, but we've got a drive business to it. It's like we need to get this thing off the ground. So I actually put up a status saying, if you want some free sessions with me, I'll give you 1 session one-on-one at the studio, and hopefully that might bring people to the studio and they might think this is a cool place. I want to hire Mandi again, or I want to hire a room.
Well, if you give me some links, we can obviously, I mean, like, I'm not obviously guaranteeing anything, but I can put the links into my YouTube channel and on Facebook or something like that, like, so people are listening to this and they want help, because like, it's not just speed bass or jungle tech. You can help with any genre, right?
I mean,
most of the principles are basically the same, aren't they? In most occasions. So.
Yeah, I mean, production is all it's all kind of it's a massive world of like kind of trial and error and learning and everything like that, but essentially it's all the same thing. You're trying to achieve the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Is a nice clean sounding track that's going to work on a dance floor or whatever. So and I can help with that. I love helping with that. I'm not the best at it, but I can, you know, everyone that's come to me so far has learned and has given me some really good feedback. And even with the free sessions up at the studio, I've now got 2 guys that are going to start paying for sessions with me, which is really cool. And they're just at the start of their music production voyage with drum and bass, and they want to be big in the drum and bass scene. And they've got some great ideas, and I know that I can help them lay them down onto a computer and get somewhere with it. So, so it's good. I like that. And in a way, I kind of feel like that's a calling for me in life, but I just don't know how to legitimize that and well, not legitimize it, but monetize that in a good way.
Business-fy it.
I'm not a great business person.
Have you heard of a book? I mean, like you were saying to me earlier on that you got into audiobooks. Right.
Yeah.
I'm into audiobooks in a big way.
Yeah.
I just finished Chaos.
Right.
I can't remember the author is now, but like it's about Charles Manson.
Right.
And ties in with the CIA, MK Ultra, LSD.
Right.
Your basic mind control and murder.
Right.
That's quite cool. It goes on for 13 hours. And I've definitely got to listen to it again.
Yeah.
And maybe again.
Yeah.
Because I keep switching off.
Right.
But there's one book I'm on now called The 4-Hour Week.
Right.
And it's more of a business economics type thing. I can recommend that to you. It's really good. It's really opened my eyes to business. I mean, I thought I was good at business. I mean, I've been in business since 1991.
Yeah.
And I thought I was all right. I've had some good wins, basically, in business. Most things that I've done, I've come up with a win, you know, I've won in them and that. But this has really opened my eyes.
Yeah.
It's really opened my eyes how to do things, promote market research, stuff like that. So I'll give you a link to that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with me, Ray, is I don't have much of an attention span. Even
just listen to it twice.
Yeah, even with books, you know, it's like my friend gave.
Yeah, but now you're not on Facebook, you might have.
This is it. I definitely should actually just take some time out and actually try and sink some of these things in.
Yeah.
Because essentially, I think whatever I do next, I need to be a bit more savvy about what I'm doing. And about how I do it, and having the confidence behind myself to do it properly as well, and having some faith in myself, because essentially after 10 years or so of ploughing everything I've got into the music industry and being where I am now, you know, some people might say I've been really successful. I have been really successful. I can't really see that so much anymore, and I think that's out of, you know, just basically kind of working myself into the ground to the extent where I don't even appreciate maybe some of the things that I have achieved. But essentially moving forward, what I do need to do is I need to kind of acknowledge all of that and actually know that I can do these things if I apply myself and take some time out to learn some better ways to do it.
If you're tutoring people, then you can do it.
Yeah.
If you can teach someone how to do something, then you're already very good at it, you know.
Yeah, I just, for some reason, I just feel like I need to be in a situation where I'm doing that for someone else, you know what I mean? For like a company that employs people to teach people and stuff like that.
Do you think that's a confidence thing about doing it for yourself?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I don't really know why I feel like that. I just...
It's human nature.
Yeah, in my head, I feel like somehow some company will come along and go, or I'll come across an advert saying, you know, music production teachers needed, and I'll apply for it and get the job and excel in it and end up earning some money that is actually worthwhile. But no, that's probably not going to happen.
Well, maybe that's the path that needs to happen for you to build up confidence to go at it on your own. I mean, like, there's plenty of industries and plenty of in business that people will go in and they'll work for a company for 3, 4, 5 years, and then they'll leave that once they got all the skills that they need for that to do that job or fill that position. They'll leave and start their own company doing exactly the same thing. Yeah, maybe that's a path that for you. Then maybe that's what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, maybe so. I mean, I feel like where where I'm at musically and stuff like that, you know, going forward after I take this hiatus and I kind of figure things out a little bit more and spend some more time focusing on myself as a person, what I need to be able to do is find something that I can legitimately I keep saying legitimately. Everything I do is legit. I'm not. I don't deal drugs anymore. So I need to find something substantial that I can do that is going to bring an income and a healthy income. I'm kind of really sick of just like always struggling, you know, and stuff like that. So I I'm 37 and I want to be able to go forward in life creating something that is going to be viable for when I'm older and earning good money. So I need to be able to think of something or put myself in a position where I can actually earn good money. I'm more than willing to work for it, and I'm more than willing to dedicate myself to it, and then I can end up in a situation where I'm doing something I'm good at that earns me money, and the music and the gigging is a side thing. I need to switch the polarity, you know. And I probably needed to do that a good while ago, but I've been trying to ride it through in the hope that one day I'll make it really big and one of my tracks will create a legitimate income for create an income for me. But that hasn't happened, and it might not ever happen. So I can't keep riding that that wave to think that that's going to be my answer. So I actually need to think it. I need to think it through. I need to figure out how I can turn what I have skill sets in into a business that will earn me some money. So I think that's what I need to take some time out and think about as well. So it's kind of like I've got a lot to think about.
Well, thank you for taking time out of your time out to talk to me for my first podcast. It's been really good. I've enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
That's no problem. I've been enjoying it too. I
cool.
Waffle on forever, so it's probably
well,
good.
I will definitely have you back again, so we can keep waffling, talking shit.
Cool. All right, wicked.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cool. All right, cool.
Excellent. Thanks for that.
Nice.
That was wicked. Was it wicked? It was wicked, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good.